So first off, my name is Matthew Baum. I'm the CEO and co-founder of RevOps Co-op. For those of you that are not RevOps Co-op members, we are a global community of folks who are passionate about revenue operations. We're up to 9,000 plus members now from all across the globe. And so a bunch of different membership options as well. We do digital events like this. We have a Slack group. We create a bunch of content, lots of resources for folks in RevOps. So if you are not a member already, would definitely encourage you to join, and we'll drop kind of URL in the chat for y'all. But today we're going to be talking all about RevOps and ABM, going over some best practices, playbook, different things that y'all can do to either deploy or just evaluate your current ABM motion and look at how RevOps fits into that. And so we got a couple of ABM and RevOps experts / unicorns that I will kind of introduce. So first off, we have Kamala Thompson, who is on the revenue operations team at Caliber Mind. Kamala has done everything from marketing ops to sales ops to RevOps to VP of marketing and kind of everything in between. I think was probably doing RevOps stuff before RevOps was RevOps. And so very excited to have Kamala on the panel today. So Kamala, I'll turn it over to you. Anything you want to add to kind of that, call it professional introduction? And then I always ask folks to add in one kind of personal kind of fact as well to share with the audience outside of all the professional accolades that you have.
You did a great intro, so I'm going to skip to fun fact. I spend a hefty chunk of the year in our little 19-foot RV traveling the country and working very remotely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, that's awesome. But I can tell you are not in the RV, right now. Yeah, that's awesome. And then in addition to Kamala, I've got Sumner, who is the CEO of Propensity, which is an ABM tool, ABM platform. And Propensity is a partner of RevOps Co-op. But before I tell you more about Sumner, his background, and kind of Propensity of the company, I'll turn it over to him. Sumner, anything you want to add on the kind of professional side? And then naturally, got to ask you the same question, my friend, of, kind of one fun kind of personal fact that you can share with the audience.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the only other thing is I was kind of doing the RevOps before it was called RevOps thing as well. So really looking forward to the conversation with Kamala. I'm sure there's some interesting overlap there of like it used to be called, like in my world, it was cloud consultant or cloud architect back in the day. So did a lot of that type of work before founding a low-code app development platform on top of Salesforce and HubSpot, which then transitioned into Propensity. So I feel like I've been in like 15 years in like the RevOps zone in one way, shape, or form or another. And I think maybe the fun fact, yesterday was my wife and my 14-year wedding anniversary, which sounds insane that it's been 14 years. And we have a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old. So it's a good time of life right now. A lot of fun.
That's awesome. I'll have to You've got me beat, my wife and I beat by about 2 months on the 14-year.
Nice.
This is so trippy. Our 14 years in a few months too.
Really?
We have a 7-year-old and a 13-year-old dog.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, that's wild. So Sumner, you'll have to we'll ask you some like wedding anniversary related kind of questions maybe after the chat today, so you can tell us what to kind of expect, how to best prepare for this, how we can, be on top of it, make the most of the day.
I'm the wrong guy for that. We're on 15. Talk to me after we have our 15.
All right, we'll wait a year.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me, so I'm going to pull open some slides, just to use as a backdrop for our conversation today. And then, so let me just get these kind of rolling for folks. So like I said, today we're going to be talking about how you can really win with RevOps and ABM, talking through kind of best practices. Sumner went over kind of Propensity a little bit and why there's kind of some kind of subject matter category expertise here. But again, this is kind of what they live and breathe kind of every single day. So we're going to drop some kind of best practices, some plays, some tactics, some things that y'all can do to evaluate your current ABM program, look at how you can deploy a new one if that's something new, and how you can also leverage some best practices to apply to your current program within revenue operations. And so we've got things broken down to kind of the 5 parts of ABM. And Sumner, maybe I'll start with you as we kind of jump into kind of part 1. But if there's anything that you want to share on just like the overall breakdown here on, how you all look at ABM, and then we can specifically get into the playbook creation side that you have listed here as kind of part 1.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the first thing when we think of ABM on our side, we're thinking of kind of small marketing, RevOps, sales teams that are trying to do a lot with it. So they're typically, unless you're kind of in a situation where you have a large staff to support a fully custom program, you're looking for something that can be launched fairly quickly and prove value fast. So a lot of the guideposts in here they can be applied to larger teams, but like the main focus is, if you're building out an ABM strategy and want to do so fairly quickly and want to get something in market, something that you can see the ROI of fairly fast, that's really the premise here of like taking a RevOps approach to launching a quick ABM campaign, proving kind of the motion of that between the sales and marketing teams, and then jumping into kind of like the measurement aspect of it, making sure it's successful for you. So I think, Matt, if that's cool, then I'll just jump right in here and just talk to the first piece of this. So with that in mind, we always think of, and this is just, again, the old school operations consulting RevOps side of me. We always think of things in terms of like the kind of the cadence, the flow, the workflow of the ABM program. So personally at Propensity, we've broken down like our playbooks into different go-to-market strategies. So in this case, you can see like, are you trying to go to market to compete with a direct competitor that you can either out feature or out price or whatever or they're gaining market share and you want to go directly against them? That's a different type of ABM motion than if you were just trying to become known in a vertical, like so industry specific ABM. We've seen a lot of people using other types of playbooks, like guided experiences where you're not really doing a hard sell through ABM, you're more doing a market education push to just become familiar as a market leader and a thought leader in the space. And then we have traditional ABM. If you're really stretched on the sales side, we have marketing only ABM or sales only outreach. These are just like ideas that we've seen before, but tend to go really well from the onset, where you're trying to keep an idea in mind of what is our team trying to accomplish from an ABM perspective across marketing and sales, and what can the team support? We work with a lot of product-led companies that don't have a ton of sales resources, and they're looking to drive like freemium or free trial signups. So that's a very different motion than if you're selling to an enterprise and selling more of an enterprise product that takes 6 to 9 or 12 months to run through a sales cycle. So we always like to suggest starting here. And Kamala, I'm really interested in what you think about, like, before we even get into audience building, before we get into like identifying the personas and the ICP and using intent data for anything, we're focusing on like we're using the playbook as a guide for what the strategy is and what the goals should be on the other side of it, and like how we're trying to go to market through ABM.
It's interesting because I approach this flipped. So I see a lot of smaller organizations in particular take their ICP for granted, meaning they listen to their sales team and executives, get information on who their fit is to develop that playbook, because the persona and ICP is going to lend a lot to the language, messaging, and your high value offer that you're going to use during an ABM play. So I like to actually step back and have the RevOps team really analyze our customer portfolio, figure out if there's consistencies. And then what I'm also looking for is identifying who's churned and if there's any consistencies there, and trying to do some myth busting around what our ideal customer profile really is. Because I see a lot of misalignment between the bread and butter of the organization, maybe they're mid-sized deals because the sales and exec team remember those really huge ones, and that's what they want to go after. It's really important to run the numbers and figure out, are we trying to just land a bunch of whales or really large deals, or are we trying to scale the business using the people who stick around, are really sticky with the product, and scale the business?
Yeah, that's it. I think there's another layer here I'd love to get your feedback on too. So I think at Propensity, we started there. We started with a pure audience play, and we said, okay, let's identify your ICP and your personas. One of the reasons we flipped it and went to playbook centric is the speed of messaging with like AI and particularly ChatGPT. It's allowed us to iterate on messaging exceptionally fast. So one of so let's just, for example, say a playbook is made up of between marketing and sales, you have programmatic ads, maybe social media ads on LinkedIn and Facebook, perhaps a direct mail piece, and marketing emails with an ebook attached to it, all before sales gets involved, right? And then on the other side of it, we have like the sales cadences to follow up with those things like LinkedIn connections and sales emails and sales calls. So the continuity of messaging across what ends up being maybe 15, 20 different plays in a playbook becomes a critical component. So what we've tried to do from the onset is say, let's use a ChatGPT type tool, dynamically build the AI prompts from day 1 to day 60 of the ABM campaign, and create as much continuity of messaging as possible for like a draft mode, right? It's not in final stage. You still need a human in the loop to approve the messaging and things like that. We found that by doing that, we're jump-starting the dialogue towards what a good cadence looks like, and what the team can support, and then going into audience building from there starts to set a baseline of it. So maybe that's another way to say it is, we're using AI to shortcut the playbook to get us to audience building really fast, but still having a backbone of a cadence that like is supportable. So it's one way for a RevOps team, I think, to use AI, even if you do it in the order that you're suggesting, Kamala, is like AI in the playbook creation process tends to work really well for us.
And I think it also, if people hate it when we say it depends, but it really does. It depends on the complexity of your product, your audience, what kind of hurdles you've seen before. So if you're dealing with a really high ticket, complex product, it behooves you to really figure out your personas and industries and figure out messaging that appeals to them if you have a gap there. So if you're nailing the message already, I agree, jumping straight to the playbook makes sense. But if you've been struggling there and you're not sure what's really resonating, it may be time to step back a bit and do some, I don't know, closed lost opportunity interviews, really interrogate your audience to see what's working and what isn't.
I don't want to over dwell on the playbook, but it is such an important piece. One other thing that I see a lot is a lot of companies don't even have a playbook, right? They don't. So whether you do it first or second, you can go to the next slide, Matt. I think that's actually a good flow into this one. So most people entirely focus on audience building, and that's the backbone of their outreach. And it becomes like the playbook becomes an afterthought, if a thought. Even the more sophisticated companies I've talked to are, it's the back of a napkin type of approach. It's really about audience building and then willpower through the motion of ABM to make it work. I don't know if you're seeing the same things.
Yeah. And I agree with you. You have to have the point in mind the whole time you're designing this. So, Matt, if you could go back one slide, each of these is going to have different goals and outcomes. And here's where RevOps can really shine is as you're building the playbook, start thinking about your goals and metrics that align with each of these. Because when I think of marketing only, I really think of performance marketing, digital ads, layered in with maybe some email and some other tactics that are trying to move people through the funnel to the point where they're ready to engage with sales. Whereas the traditional ABM play, all team members are in effect, maybe you're starting with the awareness play and marketing first and eventually pushing them to a high value offer. But you have to define your goal. Do you want to increase customer acquisition in a specific niche? Do you want to just build overall awareness? I think you have to start with the goal and work backwards. And whether, I mean, I agree with you that playbook design is absolutely critical to the success of any ABM strategy.
Yeah. The thing I'd add there too, which I think both of you are saying is like, and this, we're talking about ABM and kind of RevOps here, but I always talk about this across kind of all areas of the business is, definitely, identify the, like the outcome that you're looking to drive. And then, I kind of am listening to what both of you had to say. To me, the like the playbook creation and the audience building, it's like whether this is like part 1, part 2, whether it's like part 1 and 1.1, they kind of happen, I'll say, like simultaneously or at the same time, and they kind of need to play off of each other, right? You can't have one, you can't be successful if you only have one without the other. And depending on the route you go, and either part can influence the other, right? If you like, I've actually never like this first slide, I was like, oh man, like even thinking about the different like call it tactics or things you could deploy within ABM, of like, the difference between a product led and a marketing only is going to look very, very different. And depending on the route you go, that could also mean you build your audience very, very different for those as well. But it can often be an afterthought in terms of how do you build the playbook based on the audience that you have, or how do you build the right audience based on the playbook that you have. But you need to think about both. You can't spend 90% of your effort on building the right audience and then be like, okay, like we're just probably going to send them, I don't know, like couple of emails and we'll list them 3 days apart, then 6 days apart, then 7 days apart, and that's where you spend 10% of your time, right? You're not going to be successful. And the flip side is probably true as well, right? If you spend 90% of your time just trying to figure out the the types of messaging and where you want to deploy it, and then you try to throw your audience together really quickly, you're not doing yourself any favors there either.
Yeah, that's a really solid point. I think that to jump into the audience building portion of this, there's some really, it informs, you're totally right. It's back and forth. It's maybe not as sequential as like it looks here. It's one informs the other. I think the playbook component tends to be, and I don't mean to say it like that. It tends to just kind of naturally or organically evolve, where I think there is an opportunity to make it more of a structured approach, especially when you're trying to align sales and marketing around an audience. So just to jump into this really quickly, there's probably a lot of this is familiar to everybody here: third-party data versus first-party data. Grabbing intent topics from an intent data provider, keywords. This is one that we found really, really valuable for niche audience selection. So understanding how the company you're targeting defines themselves. So we work with logistics companies sometimes that will target only e-commerce providers that sell baby products. So you want to, there's no industry classification, there's no firmographic data for that, right? You have to drill into how the company defines themselves on their website, how they sell their products, how they're kind of mentioned. So like a company keyword description is super important for niche audience selection, we found. We were just talking to somebody earlier today that's targeting biotechnology companies, but when we did background research on his audience, we found that they had their industries were classified as hospitals and clinics sometimes, or wholesalers, which blew my mind, and or software companies, depending on how they've registered with the federal government. So using keywords as a way to understand how your customers are defining themselves helps you apply the right filters and the right messaging. One other key point I wanted to mention here, that over the last like 3 years with like the proliferation of machine learning and natural language processing, psychographic data has been a huge benefit for our customers, where we're able to like see not just job titles of individuals and not just their seniority within a company or their job start date, but also their interests and their skills. So it's like taking their job history, taking the Facebook pages that they like, taking the LinkedIn groups they're a part of, and determining what skills they have from that. So we have companies that we work with that target finance and accounting professionals, but they only want to target people that have a skill in financial analysis. So it's not, instead of targeting the entire department of finance or certain roles, we're using psychographic data to do even more like hyper precision targeting at the individual contact level. So it's really rounding out the buying circle with a new level of data set that has only been around really with the accuracy that it has now of the last few years. And then one more quick point, and then I'd love to hear Kamala's thought on this as well, but we put not in capital letters here, technographic data, just because it's kind of the opposite of the psychograph. We haven't seen the accuracy there. It's really hard to get reliable technographic data. So we typically leave that off of the ABM audience targeting component, and we focus in on like intent data, funding, founding history, psychographic data, and then how the companies describe themselves publicly, and aggregate all of that to start the filtering process. This isn't to say like this doesn't even include the internal stuff that you have in your own CRM system, but I'll pause there. Kamala, any thoughts on like those as your key third-party data points?
Yeah, I think that's solid. The only exception to the technographic data is something you can scrape off of a website. Yeah, so like right. If you're an attribution company targeting competitors and they have a web tracker, you may have hope of figuring out who has that product. Otherwise, okay. I totally agree. And look at third-party data tools that are specific to your industry. So if you're selling B2B SaaS, intent sellers like G2 can be fantastic because they're very keyword centric and kind of niche focused. I'd be interested to talk about overall audience building, because I've always joked that that's where ABM goes to potentially die, is the agreement between sales and marketing on what the audience is, the audience size. It would be interesting to hear your thoughts on that.
We found the same thing. Whenever we ask qualitative questions around the audience, it's we're talking weeks of work that may not come to any sort of agreement. Yeah. So we've transitioned it, and we only audience build with quantitative data now. So we say, give us your top 10 prospects that are in the top of funnel right now, and we'll tell you what intent signals they share and what attributes they share in common. And then we'll say, give us your top 20 existing contacts of customers that are the contact level, their URLs from LinkedIn, and we'll tell you what makes up your personas. So we found the exact same thing. So we just use an emotionless, data-driven process now, because otherwise it gets lost in the drama of the back and forth.
Yeah, and I think that's fantastic advice for RevOps to take a lead in this, because as a marketer, I can't tell you how many times sales has wanted to run an ABM play. I say, this is a very targeted approach. We have a high value offer. We need to start with a small data set, and they hand me 2,000 accounts.
Yeah.
So don't learn from my mistake. Do exactly what Sumner's suggesting. Start with the data, come to the table with a recommendation. If you come with a data set and a recommendation, it's easier to negotiate a little bit away from that, as opposed to starting on different poles of the planet. Plus, I would also highly, highly advocate for running a pilot first with maybe 1 or 2 reps if you can get away with it, with very small lists. Do a lot of measurement and use that as an argument to either continue or change your playbook.
Yeah.
That is exactly in line with the way we always recommend starting. We target 100 to 1,000 accounts. So we're still, it really depends. It could be one account that has, thousands of contacts because you're targeting Microsoft, or it can be, 1,000 small accounts that have 1 to 2 contacts each. It really depends on your market there, but generally that's a good range that we start with. But if it's 1 to 2 reps, we're talking about 1,000 highly validated contacts per month that we're putting through the initial campaign. So we're typically not running it against 10, 20, 30,000 contacts. We're really narrowing the field into like the top 1,000 contacts that best fit the persona, that best fit the intent signals, that like 1 to 2 BDR can work in a month. Otherwise, you're just not going to get the coverage against the accounts. And, ABM has to have the sales support behind it. Otherwise, it's a great brand awareness play, but doesn't get the conversions you're looking for.
Yeah, and starting small helps with a couple of things. One, you quickly learn how much volume your reps can handle.
Yeah.
And then the other piece of that is it just depends on the size of your organization, your sales cycle, and the size of your product. If you're over $50,000 for your product and you have a 6 to 9 month sales cycle, maybe you start with 75 accounts and 3 reps. It could look totally different.
Yeah. And I like the data first kind of quantitative approach. We actually had another event earlier this week all around like ICP and how to how you can actually quantitatively help to measure that and apply those characteristics against your pipeline and the people and the accounts that you market to. And they brought up the exact point that you all brought up of like, you talked to, we were talking to the marketing team about ICP, we got one answer, and we were talking to sales and we got, very, very different answers, right? In terms of, what they would each define. So yeah, bring the data, right? And start with what you got, right? It may not be perfect, may not be robust, but like you said, I think Kamala, you said like, look at your closed one deals, who, what company trades, what firmographic data do you have on them? Take your churned customers, right? Do the same thing and just start to develop some baseline for what you got, and then help leverage that into your learnings around and the things you do with ABM.
That's it. I'll add one more layer to that as we move into the next piece here. We like to look at, especially if you're looking for customer acquisition as your goal with ABM, we want people as early in your sales funnel as possible so we can see the trends of intent data. So adding intent signals, like most people don't build intent into their ICP, they build the firmographics. So if we can find common intent signals early enough in the sales funnel, you can find the kind of the right accounts like from a different perspective, and now the match rate is a lot more accurate. So it's just another layer that adds some flavor to it. When you use intent data right, you're able to like add intent to your ICP as a defining feature.
Yep. That's great. So Sumner, if you want to hit on maybe display ads, and then Cassandra, I know you've got, I see Cassandra in the audience has her hand raised. If you want to drop anything into the chat while Sumner kind of goes over display ads, we can kind of get to it there, or can kind of see what's on your mind. But yeah, take it away on this one, Sumner.
Yeah. So again, starting small, right? Like we don't need to do a full-blown omni-channel campaign out of the gates. You can measure like the effectiveness of an ABM campaign sometimes through just one channel, and a really cost-effective channel for us at least has been display ads and programmatic display ads. You can identify benchmarks, and if you have a really good website tracker on the other side of it, you can identify, you can see who from your ABM campaign is visiting your website because they've seen a display ad. Like famously in-house, we have people that don't click on display ads, probably like a lot of us out there, but they'll go and search for the company and then get to the website. So if you can pair off, the web visits of an account with the ABM campaign and the target audience, you can run display ads to see if you have what we call message market fit, which is to say you have the right audience at the right time with the right message, and it's producing the outcomes you're looking for. Again, the best way to measure that we've seen is what website visits are resulting from a display ad campaign targeting those, as Kamala mentioned, like 75 accounts for those 3 BDRs. Which contacts are engaged, or you have like no engagement, in which case maybe you have to reevaluate. Is it the messaging? Is it the audience? Is it the timing? You don't want to target accountants around February, March, April and expect to get a lot of results out of that. So there is an attribute, like an aspect of when you focus in on these the right audience and the right message. So I think and this allows at least our customers to go from like activation to launch in like 1 to 2 weeks, because we're going from audience selection, a data-driven audience selection with a playbook, into like a display ad only launch exceptionally fast to prove out the benchmarks within the first month of the campaign. So it allows you to like set those really tightly bound benchmarks and results, and still pass off high quality warmed up contacts and accounts to sales on the other side of it before you even activate the omni-channel expansion. So I'll pause there. I don't know if you had any other context you wanted to add to that, Kamala, but this is like a tried and true method that we found in ABM.
Yeah, I liked your point about tracking website visitors. And while we still can, IP de-anonymization is worth the investment if you're focused primarily on the US. If you're focused on EMEA, it's harder. I think it's really important to educate your marketers that sometimes correlative reports are the closest we can get. And that watching the timeline of your ads and an uptick in organic searches may be as close as we can get, but it is meaningful. And just teach them how to use that data to keep the CEO and VP of sales engaged in the program, because it's really important to arm your marketer with how they can, I don't want to say defend because it sounds defensive, but defend the program.
One of the ways we've seen, because you're spot on, and some of our customers are so big that getting approval to have website tracking on their websites would be prohibitive in the US, just because the restrictiveness of their internal bureaucracy. So one of the other ways we've measured that, because again, the audiences are so tight here, like ABM isn't meant for, at least in our version of it, 100,000 people running through a single ABM cohort. Like the ABM cohorts are tightly bound. So when we launch display ads, one of the things we're trying to do is match as many of the contacts' devices as possible back to those individual records. So for example, we'll target 1,000 contacts, let's say, and then find their mobile device, their desktop, their laptops, their tablets. So we end up with like 1 to 5 devices per contact in our campaign. So our impression per contact is really, really high because we're targeting the same contacts across multiple devices. So our impression counts become really important for us when we don't have visibility to anything else. We at least know the impression count. So if we've had 1,000 contacts, but we've had 50,000 impressions, we can reasonably say we've had somewhere in the range of about 50 impressions per contact. And like those contacts know your brand now. They've been warmed up with that messaging to some degree, if not consciously, then subconsciously. And that is still a good enough signal to pass off to sales. So measuring impressions in a traditional campaign, I think, can be, I don't know, you can call it that vanity metric if it doesn't result in anything in terms of engagement on the other side. But in this case, because this is our core list, it does help us to pass off sales like the higher quality contacts that have come through the campaign.
Yep. Yeah, and maybe, you know, I'm not sure how much is in the next couple of sections on this, Sumner, but you mentioned and, you know, like on the playbook side, you know, kind of determining where you're at, right? If it's marketing only, sales only, kind of product led, right? And you were just talking about the kind of the marketing and sales, I don't know, call it like handoff or alignment there, right? How you can, you know, use the best data that you have, even if that is impression data. So do you and Kamala have anything to share on you know, call it first, I guess maybe like the process for you know, kind of how kind of ABM data can best get into like the hands of the BDRs, the SDRs, the VP of sales, and then how RevOps can help, you know, with whether it's process adherence, whether it's connecting tools or systems. Like, what are some of the things that you've seen work on the marketing to sales kind of alignment side, and how they can best work together on things like this?
If you bounce 2 slides forward, I think there's maybe I'll kick off that piece on MQAs. It's really change the metric here from an MQL to an MQA. So the handoff, we still score every account and every contact that comes through the system, but we're looking to hand off marketing qualified accounts. And the definition there is accounts that showed intent through the intent signals that we've aggregated, that have been through an omni-channel marketing campaign, essentially through the marketing aspect of the ABM motion, and then have possibly been able to show that they've visited your website or had some engagement, whatever metric we can, or opened a marketing email or clicked on it. So whatever we can do to score those accounts and the contacts within them, the sales handoff starts with a score for us that determines warmth, and it's as to the best of degree of possible to say like these contacts have shown engagement or shown warmth. They haven't filled out a form on your website necessarily, but they're definitely worth pursuing and following up with. That tends to be the best mechanism. The other, just really quickly, the other thing we do is we filter out the bad leads ahead of time. So we'll send a marketing email on behalf of like the sales team and the marketing teams, and any hard bounces we get, we just carve them out of the list. So if you're familiar with like the BDRs reaching out to people via Zoom Info or something like that, the amount of bad data there just drives them crazy. So we just get rid of all that, and only the delivered emails get turned into valid contacts that get handed off to sales. So if nothing else, we're culling the field for them and giving them high quality contacts that have verified like deliverability of an email from the company that they work at, and that they could follow up with based on, again, another layer of scoring. This gets into complexity. There's a lot there, but even if you did that one thing of like send a marketing email and call out the bounces, sales is going to love the results much more than you know, than just having to work a list that's cold, basically.
Yep. Yep.
Are you pulling data from contacts to build the MQA score? If so, how we do it in our organization is a lot of times when you have people hitting your website or you're getting intent signals, you aren't actually given the contacts information. You have the IP address that can be mapped back to the company, or the intent provider just provides the company name. So a lot of times in our organization, we have a concept of an engaged account. It doesn't matter really what you call it, as long as everybody agrees to what that is and what the next steps are. We also use our own tool, and it has a complete repository of every interaction that's taken place with that account, whether it's been intent, web data, whatever. So we integrate with Slack and use that quite a bit to surface the MQAs to our ABM pilot group. And the reason why we do it that way is so that the team can see stuff starting to happen and get excited about it. And then we've agreed that the salespeople can jump on it if they want. They can see what content they're interacting with and what they might be interested with. The agreement, though, is they still must jump into action once they perform a hand raise or a form fill. So we kind of have, I think it's really important to establish SLAs and really clearly define who's responsible for what. There can be some ambiguity, but just it's important for everybody to know where the ambiguity is and where the hard straight lines and expectations are.
Yeah, it's tricky. We've seen a move for like sales and marketing to work under one roof more because of that. Slack is a great place. Our customers have continuously asked us to build more sales features in an ABM product specifically so that sales and marketing, specifically the BDRs, right, that are doing the outreach, can work under the same with the same data that marketing's working with and the same results. So even though they have Salesforce or HubSpot on the other end of it, they're trying to be as close to the marketing data as possible. I'll give a couple of examples. I think just to answer that question from a slightly different perspective, we determine it in 3 layers of data that you can gather. You can gather the contact level data. So did they open an email? Did they receive a direct, or were they sent a direct mail piece? Did they scan the QR code that's associated with that address? We have some level of contact data we can score against. And then we have account data, like how many LinkedIn impressions has that account received? Has that account clicked on an ad? And then has that account visited your website, like Kamala mentioned? And then we have campaign level attributes, which is like, out of these 1,000 contacts in this campaign, we've seen 50,000 impressions. So the average impression per contact is about 50. So while not an exact measurement, it gives you 3 layers of scoring mechanism to put in place to say like, well, you don't want to reach out to contacts that have only received 1 impression per contact on average. That just isn't going to help the campaign as a whole. So you've got to mature the campaign a little bit. And so we use those 3 attributes to score we score the contacts within the engaged accounts. So we score those we put that score at the contact level. That way that when we're handing it to the BDRs, they're saying, okay, this contact is scored as hot because their account visited the website. They've seen 100 impressions on LinkedIn. They've had a click there, and this contact opened up a marketing email and clicked on it. And then, this is a good point. I'm glad you transitioned to this, Matt. And then the next thing we do, we ask sales to claim the leads. We don't just give them leads and like say work the whole list. We want them to tell us which leads are valuable to them. And the promise there is if you claim the leads that work for you and kind of mark the ones that don't as bad leads, the next cohort, we're going to refine our targeting list to match better the leads that you think are valuable for your business, for the sales touches. So we're leveraging sales' engagement and their effort to inform the outreach on the next campaign. And that really closes the loop for us here. So by claiming it, they're telling the system or telling the ABM engine which contacts are the ones that they most value. And then the engine learns from that and then kind of iterates on it over time. So there's a human in the loop there to make sure that we don't automatically like carve off things we shouldn't be carving off, but it does transition nicely, that it rounds out that handoff moment that Matt was talking about a minute ago.
I really like the feedback mechanism built in. That's really cool. I don't think we're far apart actually on the methodology. Score people where you can, and you have that information, look across all the interactions you can capture. I just would say that sometimes you're going to get account-based information and it's going to be good enough. It should be viewed as get as granular as you can and then build aggregates on top of it.
Yeah.
How do you, I guess on the notion of sales claiming leads and then leveraging that information or learning from it, how do you, I guess, collect more feedback, or I guess what feedback do you collect from sales besides the fact that like, I want this one, but not that one, on kind of reasons why, and make sure that I guess the right feedback is being informed in like the next things that you do or don't do. And I know kind of Dylan, given all his sales background, put the question in there too of like, with that evaluation up front, is there any impact on like the whole notion of like speed to lead and the faster that you can get in front of someone? Like, are there any SLAs or time considerations around that as well?
So for our standpoint, so I'll answer both of those questions, Matt. I think we don't ask for more information about like why they didn't claim it. That's like a postmortem that we do. We don't want to slow the speed to lead. So claim it or don't claim it. We'll figure it. We'll sort the mess later, because you guys got to get on the leads and we've got to start working this. We don't want to slow you down at all. But as far as like them accepting and qualifying them, it doesn't slow down the speed. If this is part of their kind of natural, again, like a BDR type cadence, then it doesn't, like, the expectation is that they would qualify it anyway at some point. Like these aren't SQLs, so they're going to have to work the leads and qualify them to generate the pipeline that they're looking for. But claiming it actually, I think, it does some of what Kamala was mentioning a minute ago. It puts the onus on them.
Yeah.
And we can see who's not claiming them and who's not. It's another indicator. And there's so many of our customers that love this feature because they come back and they say, you know, I now know where to put the pressure to make sure that we're following up on the quality, like the leads that marketing's generated for us, the MQAs, and I can see from the onset that they're just not even being claimed. So they don't have to have this ambiguity of, oh, did they call them or did they run through the right cadence? Well, we'll know from the beginning they didn't even put them in their name, so of course not. So it adds a layer of accountability. But there's a promise on the other side that we're going to use that effort that you're putting in to better the campaign on the back end of it. So there's the carrot aspect of this as well.
And I've seen it work well using the tooling and lead process flow that you have in place today. Just they come in like everything else. They choose whether they nurture or they set it to working, and that's your mechanism for knowing whether or not they followed up. So it's not introducing new steps to slow things down.
That's right. That's right. Matt, I thought Jessica noted like leads and MQAs over there are complicated. Part of it, we get asked a lot, like, what is a warm lead and what is a hot lead? Like, so we don't score based on percentages. We don't score based on like the higher level we can make it, the better. And we have definitions, and there's like 3 categories. Either it's sales ready, or it's like hot, or it's not. So when we say scoring, we keep it super high level, and the MQA basically means it's sales ready. And then there's certain, like, I don't know, just make this up, but super sales ready, like the people that are like verifiably interested, that we put that next echelon. But we don't overcomplicate the scoring mechanism, and it's by design to make it less complicated. It's meant to, again, sort the data, segment the contacts that sales is supposed to touch, and then ease into their outreach, and just not get in the way of, like, work the hot ones first, work the sales ready ones next, and then and then tomorrow you'll see a new batch coming into the system.
Yeah, I mean, being clear and agreeing on a definition and ahead of time, like our organization decided we're not passing on the engaged accounts formally. We're elevating the data so they can choose to use it or not. They're expected to follow up on the actual hand raises though. So we had the concept of an engaged account and then a qualified lead, and the qualified lead is what they're going after. So I think there's different flavors that can work for different organizations. And again, you really need to evaluate the ticket size of the sales, what your total addressable market is, and then like the exact things you're pushing those people in your playbook to do. Like the playbook should really drive a lot of this conversation too.
Yeah, that's a good tie back to that earlier piece, because that's right. You'll find if the playbook fell down somewhere, that's a good measuring stick for success. I agree with that.
Yeah. And then in the last like 5 or so minutes, just want to talk about success metrics, KPIs, like things that every RevOps person should make sure that they're they're supporting kind of the measurement of like what are the things that we should be doing to measure the success of our ABM program, and then any like baseline or benchmarks, anything like that that you all can share on kind of how to evaluate your current performance, right, against folks that are kind of doing it right.
I'm gonna take a journey to get there really quick, if that's all right, man. I had a question, and it just popped into my head based on what you were just saying. One of our customers recently is doing something really interesting. So the reason I thought of this is like measuring success depends. There's the it depends again on like what your outset goals are, and so we give ballparks, but this particular customer is they're using a really unique tactic to say, like, let's use an event, for example. They have an event coming up and they have a target audience that they want to meet at the event. So they basically engage in, let's call it an anonymous brand to reach out on their behalf to ask the people at those companies if they're going to be attending the event. So they're doing kind of groundwork to determine, are you going to be there before our sales team reaches out and invites you to happy hour or something like that? So there's one of their metrics for success is event engagement, but it's measured through like determining your target contact list, your buying circle and contact list at the accounts, and then validating their attendance in advance of an event, and then going and doing like sales touches to try to invite them and set meetings at that event. That's a really different success metric than if you're just doing more of a traditional ABM approach where you're trying to generate it in terms of at the end of the day pipeline and close won deals and like all the lead up to that. But I wanted to put that one out there because it's a newish one that I hadn't really explored as part of an ABM tactic before. So I'll leave that there. I don't know, Kamala, if you have any thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think generally I kind of separate the concept of high level metrics from leading indicators to pipeline and bookings. So like step one, clearly identify who's in this category in your CRM. You need to be able to identify who falls into the category and who doesn't. So the major success metrics I always think about is overall engagement. And sometimes that's vanity metrics because that's what you have. Sometimes it's an engagement scoring tool or a lead scoring tool. I think of funnel metrics as more great early indicators of what's happening early on. So how many leads do we have? How are those converting into opportunities? If I see a conversion rate between lead to opportunity less than 11%, I get really worried. So just industry standard B2B SaaS, not PLG. That's kind of my line in the sand. If we're doing less than that, we need to reevaluate the playbook and we're passing people to sales too early in the funnel. And then you have very specific leading indicators that you should be using to adjust your playbook throughout in each of the tools you're using. So for example, display. You're probably going to have a tool you're using for that, or maybe it's all centralized very nicely and neatly. You're going to be looking at email metrics, both with marketing and then with the sales team and whatever outreach tool they're using. But those are kind of separate in my mind. Like the executive team wants to know the high level funnel engagement, pipeline bookings, and then the rest of the organization that's running the play. We really need to keep a close eye on those indicators so you can adjust the playbook throughout the campaign.
Yeah.
That metric is interesting. You need double tap on that one more time. Just the 11%. I know we're running out of time here, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on like what what that metric is made. You said it was lead to opportunity. So is it marketing supplied lead to opportunity created by the sales team?
Yeah, and you can view it as stage 0, meeting set, or if you don't have inside sales team, it's that opportunity create point. What I've seen in research is the industry standard was around 15%. And in the Rev Room, we talk about conversion rates quite a bit. It has dropped a bit since July 2022. So I use 11% as kind of a guidepost. Hopefully you're knocking it out of the park and way above that, but if you're below that, you need to start evaluating what you're passing over and how it's being executed on.
Yep. Ours is 5 to 15% is the range we see
Yep.
typically.
Yep.
We would call that like anything in that was a successful campaign. The lower end would be things you need to work on. The higher end is successful. Our best performing ones we see are about 20%.
Is that MQA or hot? Because MQA I would expect the lower end of the range, and then hot I would expect kind of.
That's
higher?
pretty much the way it works out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and that's helpful. So about, so what, call it 1 out of 10, right? If we're in the is your floor there. Good stuff. Well, we're basically kind of at time. And so I will kind of stop sharing my screen. And first off, I want to thank Kamala and Sumner for kind of joining us, providing an hour worth of kind of knowledge and expertise. That was awesome. And thank you for all the kind of attendees and folks who dropped in as well to listen live. Appreciate all the questions, engagement in the chat as well. We will be, this was recorded. We will do we will share the recording along with a write-up kind of afterwards. And then I know the folks at Propensity have some other resources and stuff to share with attendees and registrants as well. Again, if you want to continue to chat with either Sumner or Kamala, you can find them on LinkedIn. I know we threw their LinkedIn profiles into the chat, and they're also in the RevOps co-op, so feel free to kind of hit them up in Slack there. But with that, I'll let you all run since I know we're at top of the hour. So have a good rest of your Thursday. Have a good afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you all are. And I'll let you all run. I'll see you on the flip side. All right. So take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.